everyone before we read the article want to update that I will not be with us in the lesson. He feels well, everything is it doesn't feel well. Think about him. Read the article. What is T is called the middle line in the work. You can find a study material in our website system. What is the Torah is called the middle line in the work. It is written in the Zohar. The Rabbad says the Torah was given on the side of our. I said thus the Torah is on the left side. Told him she returned to the right as it is written on his right. A very fiery law unto him, and it is written your right, O Lord, glorious in power. Th we find that left is included in the right as it is written on his right, a fiery law, and the right in the left as it is written right, O Lord, glorious in power. Th which is left is included in the right. Follows that the Torah is the middle line as it includes both lines. Right and left is also written on the third month. On this month governs month correspond to M. Governs Andal. Owner of this is the meaning of a whole man, who is called Jacob, who is so whole is from the word wholeness. It is written and was given on the third month to the third people who were included in 3 degrees, meaning 3 patriarchs, the triple Torah, which is the prophets, and all. The Torah is considered the middle line. What they reading at people saw the voices, and the writing says saw should have said heard. He replies so we learned these voices were engraved in darkness, cloud, and mist, and they appear in them as a body appears. We can understand what it means to us in the work that the Torah consists of right and left. So what does it mean that the Torah was given on the third, who is Jacob, a whole man who is called wholeness? And what does it mean that they were engraved in darkness, cloud, and mist, which is the body where the voices are engraved? It's known that in the order of the work, first one must take upon oneself the burden of the kingdom of heaven, then he should learn. This is so because if he does not have the kingdom of heaven, we should ask, whose Torah is he learning? First one must believe in the giver of the Torah and then observe the Torah. Thus the kingdom of heaven is called action, meaning that he takes upon himself to go above reason. In other words, although one's reason may come to him with many questions, he answers them. You're asking me questions without reason. I'm going above reason from place where reason cannot reach, attain, or understand, which is called faith. There is no place to all the questions you're asking me. This is called right. He believes that the Creator watches over the world as the good who does good, although when he looks at the world he has many questions. He goes above reason, says they have eyes and see not. He thanks and praises the King for giving everyone only good. This is called right, meaning the guidance of the world is in mercy or grace. That is, the Creator leads the world only with mercies, and he says about that, I will bless you every day. However, there is evil inclination in a person, interpreted as being from the word drar. In other words, it shows a curse and bad images of the guidance of the Creator. How the Creator is behaving with the world also gives an image of the loneliness of the work in general, which is called in the dust. Thus how can one overcome and walk on the path of the right called wholeness, and be able to say only goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life? Said about that the Creator said, I have created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as a spice. It follows that the Torah that he engages in is so it will be a spice, meaning that through the Torah he will be able to overcome the evil and walk on the path called right. In that regard, it can be said that the Torah was given on the right, named after the action. In other words, it qualifies a person to walk on the right path. The first discernment in the Torah, where right is called Hes, feels no lack at all. The second discernment in the Torah is the left called. This is considered the wisdom of the Torah. In other words, once he already has the right, which is meaning faith above reason, and he believes in the Creator, that the Creator leads the world as the good who does good. He rewarded with the giver of the Torah, called the wisdom of the Torah, as it is written, comes out of wisdom. In other words, once he believes that there is a giver, the giver of the Torah, this is the time to be rewarded with the Torah, and it is known that the Torah comes out of, and this discernment can be called left it comes after a person has been rewarded with the right faith above reason. Cover, however, when speaking of a time when there is already disclosed called left, there is another issue called middle line, which means that there must be cled in. Prior to that, there is a big distance between, which are called right and regarded as left. It is, as R.S. just said, one who learns for her sake means that he's learning to with he aim to be rewarded with through his intention in the Torah that he is learning is to achieve the degree of meaning, to have the power to do everything in order to bestow, which is called it. This is R.S. said, who is a pi or follower, he who says what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours, who wants nothing for himself afterwards when he is rewarded with through the Tar he's shown the secrets of the Torah. This is already called left. At that time this left must be incorporated in the right. This means that the light of which is left is clothed in which is right, and this is called to the midline between right and left. This is why it is considered that the Torah consists of that the first state is when he wants to reach the degree of lishma, meaning in order to bestow, and this is considered that a person is in exile governed by the evil inclination. At that time he needs the to. This is called learning to in order to that he believes in what our sages said. I've created the evil inclination, I've created the Torah as a space. It is called Torah in the form of right in order to bestow, and when he has already attained the degree of lishma, a second state arises, and he's rewarded with the revelation of the secrets of. Thus, after he has been rewarded with the giver, meaning that there is a giver in the world, there comes a state where the giver gives the person, but there is more, since he needs a third state called having to be included in the right, which is called. This is so because the tea comes out of, which means that the tea comes out of and must be clothed in light. And also called action is called tea must not be more than one's actions, as our sages said about that. Anyone whose wisdom is greater than his actions, his wisdom does not persist. It also follows that the Torah, which is called wisdom, illuminates as the mid line. This is considered that the Torah consists of, and that should contains, that she contains both, and there are two discernments to make in regard to one who is learning. One, he sees that he has no connection with doing things for the sake of the creature. Instead he sees that he is under the governance of the evil inclination. She claimed she is all mine. It does not let him do anything in order to bestow. Rather, when he sees that there will be self-benefit, he can work. If he does not see any benefit for his will to receive, he has no energy to work, but differently he measures according to his will to read to what his will to receive will gain. And when a person tries to emerge from its dominion, as it is written in the essay, what does it mean that the speaking of Shabbat will not be as the speaking of a weekday in the work? To the extent that one tries to emerge from enslavement and exile, he sees that he is placed in darkness, cloud and mist, and he sees that in that state he sees that the opposite of what our sages said. I have created the evil inclination, I've created the Torah as a spice. In other words, the evil in him has grown too strong, meaning he never dreamt that if he began to work, toil, and do good deeds with the aim to achieve lishmer, but now he sees the opposite, that he never thought he could fall into such bass. Indeed, this came to him from the state of, for I have hardened his heart, and although the reason he's now in loneliness comes from above, in the sensation of the lower one, who feels in the dark that nothing shines for him, he's tasting the taste of exile, even though it is coming from above. And with the above said, we can interpret what we asked. What does it mean that the Holy Source says these voices were engraved in darkness, cloud, and mist, and they appear in them? We should interpret that these voices are the voices of the toe, which comes to give strength so one can act in order. 2. This called the second discernment. Lishma, meaning darkness, cloud, and mist, which is the need, and the seed to obtain the voice of Torah. 2 discernments come from above, which is called Lishma. 1. The CLE, the vessel, meaning the darkness, and this is the need when he can no longer tolerate the darkness, to the light, meaning the power. This is the voice of Tar gives him the strength to aim in order to bestow, reforms him and this is I have created evil inclination I have created. The Torah as a spice, in other words, the voice of Toa spices the evil inclination with the ability to intend. This is why it is written these voices were engraved in darkness cloud, and mist they appear in them as it appears in a body. This means that if they previously had vessels which are called darkness, and a place of lack, and the voice of T could enter the darkness and illuminate when there is no dark place, meaning when he still does not feel the deficiency of not being able to do anything in order to bestow, it cannot be said that the light comes and illuminates, since the light has nowhere to enter. This belongs to the discernment of right, meaning that as he has already obtained the vessels of and is called when he acts mercifully with others in the respect he has already completed the vessels, and afterward he begins the third discernment when he is rewarded with the secrets of the Torah called left. Since this light comes in vessels of reception, it must certainly be in order to bestow, yet even though he has already been rewarded with being a receiver in order to bestow, even I'm sorry, it is still considered left, since the correction of clothing is missing here, otherwise it will be his is greater than his action, or his wisdom is greater than his actions. Here begins the matter of the middle line, where cloth is clothed, and that is the left called vessels of reception that receive will be clothed in, and this is the meaning of what is written. The toe comes from the right, which is and comes from the left, comes to the left, which is this is called disclosure. But however, the right must be mingled with the left and the left with the right. This is considered that the toe is called middle, meaning comprising and deeds. We said that his wisdom must not be more than his deeds, explains the and the whole people saw the voices. It's known that voice means which comes from hearing, which is called seeing, is called it is written the eyes of the congregation are the sages of their generation. Also that shines in vessels of reception requires keeping, so it's not to receive them in order to receive, hence clothing of must be extended to it called voice and hearing. Therefore the words and the whole people saw the voices mean that they saw that they received the light of when it is clothed in a voice. In this is why it is written that they saw the when it was clothed in voices, meaning this is called middle line, comprising and the said. We will understand what we asked, what does it mean that he says that the Torah was given on the third, which is the meaning of a whole man, Jacob, who is deferred, and whole means wholeness. We asked what is wholeness. Jacob is called a whole man. The answer is that the toe is the middle line and Jacob is the middle line, comprising right and left. There is hess, in other words, there is a mingling and in the work. This means that a person should consist of both actions called and or wisdom, since it is forbidden for his wisdom to be more than his deeds. However, one should believe that there is none else besides him, that the Creator does everything. In other words, as said, for each action one should say that man was given only choice, since if I'm not for me, who is for me, everything is private providence, and that one does nothing on his own. Sorry, teach everything depends on one's choice. However, after the fact one should say that everything is private providence, and that one does nothing on his own. We should interpret this as the are rights. There is the matter of hairs which cover the light, so they do not enjoy the light as long as they are unworthy, since they might blemish. The thing is that we must believe that the Creator gave us a desire and yearning to do good deeds, and as long as one is unworthy, he must not feel that the Creator compels him to do good deeds, and this is why the Creator hides himself in dresses, and this dressing is called for her. In other words, sometimes the Creator hides himself in a clothing of friends. For example, there's a situation where a person does not want to get up and learn before dawn, so the Creator hides himself in addressing friends, and he gets out of bed even though he's tired. Thought came to his mind that it is not nice to the friends that that they all come to learn, and he is not, since then everyone will look at his loneliness. Hence he gets up and goes to the seminary and learns. It follows that he does not have the energy to get out of bed because of the commandment of the creator, so the creator does not force him to go to the seminary. This was the reason he would be lying in bed, but the friends do obligate him. That's similar to this example are all other things when a person acts, although there are many degrees in lishma. We will speak of this example here. We should look at the person who is going to learn and to observe the commandments, not because the creator commits him. In other words, if it were because of the commandment of the creator, he would not have the strength to overcome the body and to compel it to do good deeds. However, because of people, he does have the strength to do good deeds. We see the importance there can be in this. One must believe, as was said above, but there is none else besides them, meaning that it is the creator who compels him to do the good deeds. But since he's still unworthy of knowing that it is the creator who commits him, the creator dresses himself and addresses of flesh and blood, although which the creator through which the creator performs these actions. Thus the creator acts in the form of air. In other words, the person sees people's faces, but he should believe that behind the faces stands the creator and performs these actions. That is, behind the man stands the creator and compels him to do the deeds that the creator wants. It follows that the creator does everything, but the person regards what he sees and not what he should believe. For this reason, a person says that he is doing the deeds lishma, as with the example of the friends who commit him. Also, it does not have to be friends, rather everyone has his own external clothing which suits him. When, for instance, one comes to the synagogue because of the friends committed him to come, he says the creator was the reason that he went. Learn, the creator only dressed in the clothing of friends. Thus now he thanks the creator for being the reason. It follows that when a person did the deeds, the creator was not the reason that compelled him to perform the commandment, but he acted because, for instance, the friends ordered him and he had to obey. One must believe that he did this because the creator commands him to observe the mitzvah, the commandment, and he had to obey what the creator commands him to do. However, the creator hid himself in the clothing of such as the friends, so that through this clothing he would think that he must obey the voices of, but in truth one must believe that it was all the creator is doing. Thus, after he performs the commandment, the mitzvah, he should say that it was the creator who acted behind the clothing of lish, that then one should thank the creator for giving him the desire to observe his commandments through his clothing. Through this clothing, what the above said, we can understand the great importance of fish. It is not as one thinks that he does everything, for rather he's doing everything because the creator commanded him, except he was still not rewarded with feeling that the creator is actually the commander. For this reason, a person thinks that the lishmar is the commander, and hence the act is not so important in his eyes. However, if he believes that there is none else besides him, as was written in previous articles in this caution, then he is observing the commandment of the creator. He should appreciate his actions. Inish one's imagination that he is only observing and acting lishmar. It's only because he was not rewarded yet with feeling that he's observing the king's commandments and that he is serving a king. Hence, if he believes that is truly the creator committing him to engage, and then he can give thanks to the creator, dressing clothing of lishmar, and from this one come to appreciate the importance of even just said about this, and they collect from a person knowingly meaning and unknowingly meaning. This is the meaning of what is written, that the hairs, meaning the lishma, covers the light, so they will not be fed by the light as long as they are unfit for it. Other words, that the hairs are clothing, and under that clothing the light stands and shines, but in the meantime the light is covered. Shalom. Okay, hello friend. First off, all good health. Let's pray for his. What we will do now is we will have social time between us. We will connect between us in our tea and scrutinize between us our impressions from the article. Is asks us the end of every article, what is the impression? Let's share with each other in the central places, and what we would like to do later on is that every 10 will bring up questions. We'll awaken questions and we'll try to do what Art told us yesterday. He doesn't work with each and everyone, and we should try to all work together. The one CLE one asks the other one answers, so let's be sensitive and try to observe. Let's start with our first question. What are our impressions from the rubbish article we read now? Let's share with each other with the main principles we read in the article. So please write, and left in the Torah in the wisdom. Right always symbolizes his faith above reason. Left represents the giver of Torah when he's rewarded with secrets of Torah. We understand that the Torah itself is to walk on the mid-line wisdom that is clothed in us. We understand that Torah comes to cleanse the evil inclination, and the more we wish to advance in the path and to go in Lishma, the evil inclination is revealed correspondingly, and you need the Torah to reveal everything he's revealing. We also learned how important is this state of fish, not for her sake. This example that he gives, that the friends influence the person and make him get up in the morning and go to the lesson. The question, however, does he discover it or think that everything comes from the Creator and Creator clothed in the friends, and he influences him through them? Is this still considered? Maybe this is already the transition. I too was impressed by the principle of the importance of Lishma, where the Creator clothes addresses and everything in reality in order to lead us to revelation, not a simple article. It includes many things that some of them are not so clear, doesn't open up any issue. He only touches it, he allows us to lead it to us to open our up questions. I wrote many things to myself, right left, the secrets of the Torah, AD, and intention, etc. And he mentions all of these things, but doesn't open them up. Actually see, as if she did open the matter of the work with the friends this way, to reach from there to go to the importance you have in the friends. Only need to work with them, and that their work would become our commandment, and not some desire that we have to attain and to want to receive something, but something specifically of the friends. The importance that the friends give us, they actually give us the power and the true commandment for the work in the letters that we have to connect to internal words that we were rewarded with hearing or reading from Rush letter of Lishma, which is hidden. That Rush writes in the right about in the end. Impressive, not the way it was before, but now this whole thing is leaves a stronger impression that it's really he's there, the Creator, and we should be grateful as R says for that it is happening. Has the special expertise he bring you this package on the one hand to fill you, on the other hand to leave you empty. It's as if there are two articles here. Let's say we can relate to it as two articles, where the first part is a process from 1 to 4 when a person reaches to the midline, and the second part is the transition from R to Lishma. How the Creator cares for a person in this world after all. Person can't see that Creator is hiding behind this world. Person develop the faith that the Creator is hiding behind the friends. Can try to start and see the Creator is managing his governing creation. That what we see. Yes, I'll focus also on the second part, which seemingly more clear. It's very clear how Rash is directing us in all of our actions and our thoughts and our attention to the Creator, not to get confused and think that there are bodies and it's a normal society and there are all kinds of incidents in life, but rather there is guidance here that this is how a person should perceive his life, that all the incidents, especially those related to their friends that compel him to engage in the correction, they are all messengers of the Creator, seemingly depict to him that now he has a certain role or duty, or they compel him to get up or do this or that. One should accept all of that it is the Creator himself who is leading him. The Creator is leading him sounds as if the quality of my stress inish, because the person lacks the vessels work for the benefit of the Creator. That's why he starts from Rishma. But the Creator is the one who's in charge of all this theatre, and how he's showing it to the friends. And he's doing it for the friend, but he really does it for himself, is the order to reach Lishma. But from the work Imma comes to, so the Creator is very sophisticated from his high degree. He builds are the vessels of me, so we would reveal Lishma. And you have said now it's a very nice summary of the entire article. Think about the fact that the Creator cloth in every friend. Amazing. This is the first time that I noticed that Rabish writes it in such a way that the Creator close in Every that you see before you I clothed in him, because you still cannot cope with me, says the Creator. With this upper force of pistol I will arrange for you all kinds of such depictions and movies, that if we enter into this movie into the director and we realize who is showing us this movie bit by bit, he's taking us into this act of direction, how to manage this whole thing. We need to be grateful to the Creator for giving us this clothing where we are opposite the quality of bestow we're not worthy, and nevertheless they give us this path, the friends, and by giving an example to one another, that the strength to one another to walk on the path, have to get to lessons to do everything we're doing, even when the Creator is concealed and we don't understand the importance of the words in the beginning. Nevertheless we must always walk on the path to the Creator, who's standing behind all those things. We have to be patient that it's leading us in the right direction, the correct feeling of the Creator, of the greatness of the Creator. Ultimately, as it is written in the article, the Creator himself compels the person to engage into this means in life. In our life we meet many people, and every time that I meet someone, I believe it is the Creator. Okay friends, we're going to continue with our scrutiny. We want to do the following thing now. We want to awaken in the 10 all the questions, all the central questions, points we wish to scrutinize from the article. Questions we would bring to the work, questions we wish to follow the T between the friends after have a general assembly and hear all the discernments that came up in the world CLE, and we'll start to answer them together. So let's enter this workshop where we bring up all the questions that came out of the article. So summarize the questions, because we'll have a general assembly and we'll wish to hear everyone here and in the world. Well, we all talked about the second part of the article. First part, he speaks about the Torah, that it is actually the midline and wholeness and the incorporation of deeds and wisdom. We really need to scrutinize all of that is touching to only the second half, but in the beginning what a person does not engage into by opening its eyes and taking everything above reason, the burden of the kingdom of heaven, how to receive things above reason. You don't need Torah for it. The question that comes up is, what is the preparation that we have to do? What should the preparation be built like? Again, how should a question be constructed? Asking, they speak of the right line, the left line, and how the right connects to the left and the left connects to the right. The Torah is there, the Torah is over there, the Torah is in the middle. The question is where we hear, and when we speak, the friends are there means and in each side, the left, the right, above, down, everything is here. For that we need to hear the friends and define them as something very important for scrutiny, something that connects and raises light. Let's put it this way. Okay, it's not a question, it's something else, but maybe something that touches the first part and also the second part of the article, is that what is hiding behind everything is this matter of faith that a person acquires. So what exactly is this force, so that person can discover and see that the Creator is actually behind the friends, arise above the right and left, or whatever he's going through these alls? What is this force of faith, and where does it come from? Yes, I would ask about seeing the Creator hiding in all the actions. What actions does this relate to? Actions, all the actions are only between the friends. He gives an concrete example of the friends who obligate him to study, to accept it this way, because a person naturally resists. He doesn't see it this way. He says that this thing should appreciate him, as that is bringing him to, in other words, it needs to be an addition from the side of man in this effort to see that the Creator is now clothing in the friends. There has to be another addition of a request, correction, that the Creator needs to bestow to him, so he'll be able to receive it even though he objected to seeing this shape. So what is the work here? And he also speaks about the middle line, which is the incorporation between and this line. He calls it Jacob a whole man. He says that means actions, deeds, is or the left line, and the question is that he explains that his wisdom must not be greater than his deeds, meaning that the light of the left line must not be greater than the light of the right. The question is, how do we do that? How do we aim? The light of B will overcome what we call the right, will overcome the left line of the. How in practice to create the state overcome the light of the. Well, this thing we need to start to feel the after we feel Then we begin to have the light off, and we need to feel it as the light off, and then we'll reveal the middle line as well. We have plenty to reveal. PR this indeed another question that awakens arises is if we say that the Creator is clothed in the garments of the friends, how do we always remember it? How can we always be in that and we don't forget about it and we don't fall our own thoughts and our own feelings, flesh and blood and all of these corporeal qualities and everything that we see with our own eyes and with our own qualities about the friends, but rather that indeed behind the friends, behind everyone the Creator is there. Always He is forcing them to perform all the deeds, and He's actually leading all of us forward. Said almost the same question I had, that if the Creator is standing behind every friend, the question is then if we learn to through the friends. I was also thinking about this thing, if the Creator is indeed outside of me and He clothes in everything that there is in reality, and I should be grateful to Him, how do we create such an environment that will remind us of that each and every moment? And also in relation to what you have asked, if His wisdom should be greater than His deeds, should that be greater then, or should they be equal, so that I have free choice? Yeah, I won't talk about the free choice. Where is it in the article that the person does anything in free choice, even opening his eyes? Yasu accept the upper providence as the Guru does good, and then the secrets of Tura are revealed to him, and then did the left line he accepted everything about Recon. The Creator is doing it, so how can the Creator, the friends, appear there? They determine where the friends will appear. If the Creator activates everything, where did the friends come from? The question that arises from this entire round of what the friends were saying is, should a person even be in some attention, very strong attention, every moment? I'm on the left, I'm on the right, I'm in the middle, or is it enough to simply walk on the path with the friends, simply through the incorporation, and then the light works on a person? Or do we truly need to see, now I enter the state of the right, now I'm more in, or more in, and all of these subtle fineness scrutinies ask, what are those actions that have to be greater than the okay friends? So after we have brought up questions in our tea, now we would like to get in and hear all the scrutinies that came up. We want to hear them and see later on how do we begin to answer together the questions that came up in the world. See, so first of all in the entire world, CLE, everyone who's here, please put up your question marks. You want to see the screen full of yellow question marks. Everybody put up question marks. We are going to surprise you, and also here in the study HLE, anyone who has a question, simply put up your hand and we will start to hear questions, and later we will answer them. So let's start. We have Holland, go ahead please. Good morning, dear friends. What does the big distance mean between the right and the left, and how to bring them closer to each other in our tense? What does that mean, bringing them closer to each other in our tense? Which you call it actions do we need to do? Miriam Hollish, excellent, yes, thank you. First of all, we had a fantastic impression that we are like now in the synagogues when we are debating the Torah between us, but the question that it seems that we always thought that we start from the left line, that we are originating on the left line, but Rabash now not the first time seems to tell us that we already have to start on the right side, and then from the right we go back to the left line, so we get the strength to establish the right line before even start to talk about left line in the Torah. So how do we get the strength to get to the right line? Told us about this discussion we need to hold. I am asking everyone to hear what the friends are saying and to be ready to jump in, to ask, to add. I don't need to work with each and everyone individually. Again, I'm asking everyone here to hear what the friends are saying and to be ready to jump into ask and to add. I don't need to work with each one of you independently. One, we discovered that each one has different questions, but there is something common related to what C was asking in this article. It seems like it only talked about a person's work towards the Creator, but where is the work of the 10? How can a person draw the L ofad from his work in B? If there are any questions in the study hall, please put up your hand and we will let you ask, but in the meantime, Let's go to Florida. We have 2 questions. 1. What is the burden of the kingdom of heaven, and what does it mean to take upon myself the burden of the kingdom of heaven? 2nd question. How to build a middle line in the 10 Latin. Chev Latin. S. Hello. Friends, good day to everyone. The question is, what should we do in the 10 order to get a feeling that we're keeping the commandments of the king and are keeping the fear from the creator? We got a very interesting experience to have this discussion after reading the article, but we felt the need. Everyone felt need after the discussion to read the article. Again, slowly read it except by except and think after each one. Think for 30 seconds, of course, with the single intention about the health of RA and the unity between us. Thank you. Cap you. 2. Thank you. Yeah. We had a question. Rush mentions it several times. Anyone whose HMA is greater than his actions, or he refers to it as deeds, sometimes his. Hotma does not persist. We were wanted to understand what he means by that, or what that means. Thank you. A question is, we the deeds that we do, the good deeds we do, are in order to reveal the bad. How will we hold ourselves, strengthen ourselves as one body? Friends, in the study hall of questions and want to share. Where's the point of transition from to, and how can the friends help reach that point? Thanks, sir. You wrote a few questions. It is written that a person is in exile under the governance of the evil inclination. Then he needs the Torah. How do we reach the feeling that we are under the governance of the evil inclination in order to awaken this need for the Torah? That's one. Another one. What does it mean in our work that one's wisdom is greater than his needs? The 3rd question. Why should we start on the right with Andes before we shift to the left, and why, when we on the left, we need to be incorporated in the right? Can he writes in 2 places that we need to believe that the Creator has given us the desire and the earning to need to remember that the Creator obligates us to do good deeds, and the 2nd part, he says, person has to believe that there's no besides him, meaning the Creator obligates him to do the good deeds, but since a person is still not worthy to know that the Creator is obligating him, that's why the Creator clothes himself in clothing of flesh and blood. And the question is, what does it mean that a person is worthy? From what does a person get to see that he's worthy? Thank you. Had 2 questions. The 1st question was asked already by the 2nd question, is, why does Rash the entire article a special meaning to the work of Lishmer, and why is the work of Flish so important? For what purpose does the Creator hide behind the friends, and how can we strengthen the friends' faith in the Creator? Drawn to our question is how 3 lines, left, right, and middle line, are related to our day-to-day job in our 10. In addition to that, why Torah is called middle line. Thank you. We see that our work is in strengthening the environment, and the work we have to get to is, but in this article we see the importance of Lishma, how much Rabash is emphasizing it, and how we attain Lishma. On the other hand, he's showing us how much the Creator is doing, and how it's everything is the Creator. So we thought about the question of how do we build this environment where on the one hand we work in Ish, on the other hand it will give us this reminder that everything is done by the Creator, and it will help us move to Lishma. Thanks to all the friends for your participation and all the questions you brought up. Rob yesterday directed us how to have a common discussion. It's new for all of us. We heard how important it is to participate actively this way, because in that way we will truly absorb the materials of Lun R. Said the correct way comes from the need to bring you closer to discussion, to participation, to asking and answering together, and in this togetherness we will scrutinize between us. What does it mean to be together in the center of the connection between us when everyone is drawn to it and they want to be incorporated in it? Again, the correct way comes from the need to bring you closer to the discussion, to participation, to questions and answers together. This together will scrutinize between you how we should be together in the center of the scrutin between you when everyone is drawn to and want to be incorporated in. That you also said that we should try to come out of personal scrutinies to scrutinies that are more connected and group-wise. So let's try to do it the way that Rar directed us to try to implement his advice. Let's take questions the friends brought up and answer them in a plan. Simply put up the question mark and answer the questions briefly. The first question a friend asks in this article and all speaks about the work of a person towards the Creator. Where is the work of the 10? If anybody wants to answer, simply put up your hand in this. It only speaks about the work of a person towards the Creator. So where is the work of the 10? Well, to answer anywhere from the world CLE or from the whole, from the get. Everything that's written here is from the within the work. In a T, from the outset, a person has to tell himself that everything comes from there. 10, from the connection with other friends. Shai said the person himself. What is he without 10? He doesn't have a 10 is just something else working in this world. So the 10 gives a person the initial point from which he can even start to scrutinize these things and even touch them. It's not speaking about a person as an individual, but a person who's included in this 10, and the attitude of a person to their 10. On to the next question. The friend asks, from where do we get the power to establish the right line? Before we started working on the left line, where do we get the power to establish the right line before we started to engage in the left line? Want to answer, Anne, please. Influence of the environment, especially when we start on the right line. There's excitement, impression, envy. The left will rise as a result. That when we try to anal ourselves in the 10 before opposite the friend, we draw lights of this is how we start our work, also by believing that the Creator is watching the world in the form of good, who does good also by what's written through the Torah. He'll have the ability not to go on the evil side, but to go on the because it was given on right. Let's go to the next question. What does it mean that his wisdom is greater than his deeds? What does it mean when Rash writes that our sages wrote that his wisdom is greater than his deeds? What does that mean? He writes in the article that is, the Torah and his actions are the and we're not supposed to have more. Sometimes call this one who's a wise guy, or someone that has too much, he too smart, but doesn't have any actions. And the wisdom doesn't come from the heart, but it comes from his mind. More friends that want to answer, what is his wisdom is greater than his actions? It's probably less acts of connection, not enough acts of connection are towards the drawing of the light or the study itself. A person uses wisdom in order to avoid doing deeds. He writes that first of all a person needs to believe in the giver of the Torah, and only then can he perform or observe the Torah, and he has to go above reason. So when there's questions, adhere to the friends in above reason. Our next question, why is the work in Lishma very important? Why is the work in Lishma very important? Just like we said before, without the infrastructure of the background of the actions, you can't work with this about. So you have to start, so the person will have an excuse why to do the deeds. Called the work offish is the correction. Because in the work of Lishma we correct our fear from fear towards yourself, towards fear to the Creator. That's how we reach Lishma FRCH 1, and the work in Lishma is the form that the Creator operates through the friends, so that we will do the right actions, and so that the will be above the just, like the example that awakens a friend who didn't wake up for the morning lesson without shame towards the friends. We can't read shame towards the Creator. Let's continue. We'll take one of those questions and enter into a workshop between us. We heard one of the friends asking, where is that transitional point from to, and how do the friends help us reach that point again? Where is that transitionary point from, and how do the friends help us come to that point? Let's scrutinize it in the workshop in the 10s. First of all, it's very interesting that how many questions come from the article, and I think the answers have to come from here too, so I'd read maybe the excerpt that speaks about it. First, because we see that the friends are revealed before a person the shame or the attitude towards society, which is the first work a person has to do, not towards the Creator. In this way he approaches an approach. It's like the first level where he learns how to work towards the Creator. Yes, he writes, in this we will understand the extent of the greatness of importance of meaning, that it's not like a person thinks that he's doing everything for the sake of Lishma, but rather he's doing it all because the Creator commanded him to do so. Only he doesn't yet have the merit of being able to see or to feel that the Creator is the one who commands. It seems like that's the transitional point, where from the state that he thinks he's doing everything that the friends are compelling him to do, so that There's a habit that's making him do it, and shame and all kinds of things until where he starts to think and believe we still need to scrutinize what that is that he's doing everything because the Creator commanded him to do, so is doing everything for his own benefit even though he's aiming to do actions of bestow, he's still doing it for himself, is that he's really aiming it towards the Creator. How does that transition happen when he get the vessels? He gets the vessels to do and aim towards bestow. That's the only way he can get the gift from above till his limit is filled, and the Creator can turn his vessel into a vessel. Beau, it's good that we have the 10 that we can practice this thing that's called to bestow or to receive, and we practice this, and until we gradually start clarifying the picture of who's standing be these matters, and it becomes truly shame when you start to feel the quality of bestow and you enter with the help of the Creator to bestow in order to be, and after that and will tell us what's the next step. We're in a laboratory on our path, and this connection between us, and by constantly working on our connection, and we understand and we see this connection as an important between us. We keep mentioning the importance of it, and that the Creator behind all the deeds and behind each and every friend. So by this we're constantly developing this matter. Offish, there's a part of there's a quote from our sages. I think that they has that famous quote that he says how the book is open and the hand is writing, everything is calculated on the path, and we have to be patient as we say that eventually everything is goes into that calculation till all the sesame seeds go into the big sum, and whenever the Creator decides and thinks he's worth, we are worthy, he'll bring us into Lishma. Also add here, it's written in the article that therefore if he were to believe that Lishma is really the Creator himself is compelling us to engage in it, works out that he can give great thanks to the Creator for what and where the Creator clothes the clothing of Lishma and clothing. Offish, the moment we aim to or think that everything comes from the Creator, that's that transitional point. From the transition point is when we have a big deficiency that brings a prayer from the body bottom of the heart. This deficiency we create between us and the work of connection against the will to receive. It draws the light that reforms, and that builds a deficiency till we reach our limit, and a true prayer comes from the bottom of the heart. From what I understood in the article, the work in Ma begins from the beginning, where a person opens his eyes and sees that the providence is not good, and he starts above reason and the burden of kingdom of heaven, and starts the bestower, and that's called right, that he's the good that does good, and it's not good. I just don't understand why Rabish says that the word is in the end of the article. What is that? It's not the transition according to the article. Seems that it's on the importance of person gives to their work. He gets that importance from the environment, he can get it from himself, and question is how the 10 can help. So we can see a great example about the morning lesson, how a person comes in the beginning of his path, wants to conquer the world and comes with a burning desire. Then the friends start. Next question, we heard from one of the friends how we build the middle line in the 10, so let's scrutinize it together, how to build the middle line in the 10. Will we build in the 10 the middle line? We're in a workshop. We talk, we heard what Rabish wrote, and Rabish tells us that behind the friends is the Creator. Us other people are not spoken to. They're not told that even though the Creator is speaking to them, they're too on the outside, but he's telling them what they can hear for the time being, and to us he's directly saying that here is the Creator talking through the friends. And continue the middle line, we read that it's something that comes from above. It's a force that comes from above. The question is how we create a deficiency or make sure this thing is lacking. So he explains it from beginning to end, the point where a person moves from right to left, left to right. There's a left incorporated in the right in the left, and from both of them a person builds an actual deficiency for the middle line where he can work towards the Creator. Maybe when he first takes upon himself this law and faith that he doesn't really feel that the Creator is governing the world, and that there's none else besides him, and it's all for the good, and it's to the friends first. He receives this thing, but without really feeling he wants to feel it. Then he starts to work in love of friends, and he discovers that here too, he doesn't see anything that the Creator is operating him through the society. He hears the advice of the sages and wants to see it this way, and specifically upon these two forces: on one hand what it appears to him, and he feels that it's not like that; on the other hand what the seers are telling us, that it is that way. Then probably within his heart a certain demand is created that makes that feeling to something that is tangible. That's the work in the 10. All the relationships between us of mercy, the right line, we create the inspiration, the greatness and the wisdom and deeds, which is the left and the distance, and shilling out and rejects each on from one another in this way, from coming closer and further away. Together we're building a relationship that one's on the left, the other covers on the right, and the opposite, and from this mutual work connecting our desires and inspirations, by this work aiming ourselves above towards a Titian above all states we want to be adhered, that when we connect together and raise a constant prayer, if the middle L is above, we have to rise above all states and pray for the Torah to just land on us. Yes, maybe not in such a clear way. What do we have? It's like a dishwashing machine where right now you don't know if it's where's above, where's below. You don't know what's left, what's right. These are beautiful sentences, and only the 10 gradually gives this direction, this logical thing in this whole. Okay friends, so together we went through a process of reading article impressions from the friends, the central points we heard from the questions the friends were asking, the answers they answered, the attempt to incorporate in the friends' questions and answers, and also a workshop in the 10 we're trying what was asking of us to have this discussion, this lesson together. Maybe it could be done much better, so let's share impressions from the discussion we went through. Let's share what you liked, what you didn't, what would you keep, what would you change or better in this process. So in workshop let's share our impressions, then maybe share what we could do better for the next time. Then we'll all hear each other. Please, yes, we are always in this, and how we implement this lesson, how we live this lesson. Usually we kind of seemingly sit and hear, and we're kind of passive, and in this way we're chewing even more what we're learning. The articles, we go through them together, we get an impression from all that the friends are saying. We're truly incorporating them. It's just like it's written in the article itself. We're performing these actions, these deeds, where not each of us receives to his own CLE, but we're truly incorporated from the clothing of the friends, and all that the friends say, the deficiencies of the friends, the questions of the friends, the answers of their friends. This is how we receive a much greater CLE, which eventually we're incorporated in a CLE of the whole society. There is a feeling that when we had yesterday, it was like a preparation for today's lesson. Here we feel the friends, we feel their deficiencies, their questions or answers. It's an ocean of thoughts of everyone's feelings. It's very impressive, and also in this way the article becomes more clear. Until the stage of the answers of the friends, it was all good for me. When the answers came, I didn't know how to digest it. Some of the answers don't sound right. Some of it you don't know if it's right or wrong. You don't know how to eat it. It's how to take it. I would rather the answers to be based on the sources or excerpts from raw, yes, but we have to accept it because that the Torah, that's the form we have to study, because in this way we're incorporating very strongly. I was really missing on reading the article again in order to scrutinize it more, and I'd had to leave with a task with the A summary. What do we take from this work? Maybe our exercise, a decision. I'd add that if it's possible for our AV to hear the workshops during the lesson, here's what the friends say inside. They're in the tables somehow. I don't know how, and then after that says to us or gives us a question and new question, or tells us what to read, or tells us how to do a workshop that will be more internal. In short, we need the teacher for our path and all the improvements that would be to whatever extent it's possible in all our states in the lesson and also during the day. It's a broad question, but it seems that first way we really need to read and ask questions about it. Share impressions, that's all. Good. The specific article, it's like divided into 2 articles or 2 parts. Each article has like a few parts, so I'd Try and maybe stick to one part and ask an answer from in the article after we are all incorporated in Ash, so then we can start asking about ourselves, see how it's connected to us, how we can implement it. Practically first it has to be incorporating in Rash himself first, before us, and only afterwards how it takes place in the tea. Okay friends, now he wants to hear everything that we saw in the tea, all your impressions from this discussion, from this new degree that we're building together. See here in the hall and in the world CLE, just like before, the whole screen, we want to see it painted in yellow. Question marks all of UP 1317 Florida Peter. Everyone all painted yellow. Question marks also here in the hall. Excellent. I saw that when we started answering the answers of the world C, so the answers were right from what we've been hearing from Lovegood. Clear, all this level gives us answers from above, so everything's okay. We're starting this path of studying like this. It's great, it's a good beginning, but we have to learn how to search for answers, not from our brains, from what we learned before, but from within the connection from above. There was an excerpt from Ra that you mentioned that he said that it's very important when we discuss this that we should be attentive and listen to what the friends are saying, and as one who had great difficulty with the article today, to understand the picture, to feel it, I did have the merit of hearing it through the friends, and through the friends I managed to achieve much more than I thought I did. It's very important, this thing, it really works. Okay, we first gathered the questions, then we started answering, and I think that a question should come up and right away give an answer, because from that answer we'll get another question and another answer and another question, and suddenly a question will come that deserves a workshop, and then we can, what I want to say is, let's let the lesson kind of conduct itself from what comes up script and not according to a script. Yes, I wanted to say that we read today the article for 40 minutes. There's some of the people that kind of fall asleep today. I was a little kind of foggy, and there are also those who here for 40 minutes don't really understand. It doesn't get to settle in. In short, what I wanted to say at after you read an article for 40 minutes and you ask questions, not everyone is in that picture. I don't know how many percentage, but after 40 minutes I don't know how many people can actually answer those questions. That's why I would recommend to read after we finish the article, read a certain excerpt where everyone is in that picture already, and we can ask questions about those excerpts, not about the whole article. So we're losing a lot of friends who fall asleep, who are not with us, and that not everyone is inside that picture. That's my recommendation, is to read an excerpt and then ask questions about that. In my opinion was today, I don't really know how to what point on why it was better or more precise, but it was more to the point from letting things come out on their own. I think there were a lot somehow this scrutiny, the way it happened, maybe because the questions came in sort of way that they happened from an incorporation of the workshops, and then they were mentioned, and the fact that we didn't answer every question, but you conducted it in that way. So I think it was one of the strongest and precise lessons I felt in the last few weeks there. It makes the impression that these lessons, this format, obligates us to implement all Ra's advice. Also how you hear the article, how you write at a certain time, that while you're hearing it, what's your responsibility towards your friend in the 10, what it means to bring a deficiency that is correct, that's relevant to the friends in the 10 and the people in the CLE, not just stand up and give our speech. Also the answers between us, what we want to achieve in the end at a certain degree, meaning all the principles throughout the years need to be implemented in this situation. Only one request from the translators, because it's a new format and it's like we're not used to this. Usually there's a short answer from someone, and there's an answer from here. There's a lot of talking, you don't know where they're going, so please talk a little slower in the assembly and between us, so that the translators will be able to grasp it. And if we're going to an extra from the text, I say from where exactly, and not just start reading. Thank you for what Leo was saying, and to continue what Misha started between giving answers from their emotion or what we learned from we just wrote an article, was just put a whole excerpt of what he heard from be exertion in searching for what we heard, and this precise when we answer of what we heard. From love that can help us ascend to the next degree. Let's make an attempt to really hear the impressions of the friends. Please, good morning, dear friends. This lesson was a miracle even yesterday in the noon lesson. Rar said that we have to relate to every friend like, and already today each one of you, whoever made an effort and questions no matter what he was like. Love, it's so wonderful to learn from one another. That's why there's a great gratitude for each one of you. You are our giants, and a kiss from the whole group. Yeah, I found good day while I found great benefit as all the friends from their workshops. We learn so much, and it sharpens all the knowledge that we have. What I'm wondering is if we can repeat the same lesson when Rav's available and the next day, so we can discern the difference between having a teacher like Rev and our workshops and CCK. Get closer to both if you like. Thank you. Well, sincerely great gratitude to everyone for this action. We really loved this incorporation that each helped and answered one another. There's a certain thought that accumulated that there's two process is the questions, asking questions and the answers, and if to work with this and to write these processes, then we loved it more when there were a lot of questions, and these questions are sometimes similar and they equalize, and sometimes one question completes another, and within these questions there are you find a more precise answer and also and short. Both these processes we felt lack, and then we could incorporate it one another questions and answers, and maybe we can also study tests in this way. To not okay. Yes, the process is correct. Its stages are correct. There's incorporation, and this incorporation is felt. Look how many question marks there are on the screens. You can really feel the being of one CLE. As far as the article is concerned, it's hard to swallow an article for the first time, and therefore the recommendation is to stick to the article that we planned before, because in the 10 prepared itself throughout in the day before, so what we were planning on go with that. And another thing before the reading to say we're about to read the article, bring out principles, write them down, because we're about to talk about that, and that will prepare us better. This form of questions is good because it serves us in connecting all the concepts and connecting together on the path to Lishma. From the connection and all the ideas of the friends is that there are two goals in the lesson. There's the goal of the experience of those who are participating at that moment, and the lesson later serves as an immense CLE throughout during the day, especially the day afterwards for those who are listening to it again and again sometimes, and we need to think about the result that's created. Amazing. The workshops are things that we recognize from the past, and this combination with the advice of the friend, that something dynamic that will create something truly will move like our spirit, that just going to come by and just it's exciting and all that, and then a friend takes it. Then a meaningful question rises. We stop. We make it to workshop you to think. Maybe in hearing it later you have to think about how the lesson will sound later in the end, and whether the experience of a passive listener where will be more powerful, and better not to read all the questions at the same time and then answer, but answer each and every question in this way. We can be more together. Read the article, paragraph one after the other, and they give more of our intention before the workshop, how we're going to learn from every friend and serve the Creator and be more together in that. Thank you very much. To continue the request from Michael, we're going to move to read the study of But Before Tharter, connect us with A, for, was, and going B. We're going to be reading from the study of the 10 volume 3 part 10. We are in page 98 in the Hebrew version. We are studying from 71 in the AR words in Hebrew. We have it. We don't have an English. Let's just remember why we read the study of which is a very special moment in our lesson. Everything we went through in the lesson is a preparation to incorporate together in the source, in the composer, in the author, to draw the reforming light, and we'll hear the guidance that gives us, who writes to us in item number 17 in the introduction to the study of the 10. The student pledges prior to the study to strengthen himself in faith in the Creator and in his guidance in reward and punishment, as our sages said your employer is liable to pay. There's a microphone problem. Your employer is liable to pay you the reward for your work. One should aim one's labor to be for the MIT of the Torah, and in this way he will be rewarded with enjoying the light in it, and his faith will strengthen and grow through the power in this life. As it is written, it shall be health to your navel and marrow to your bones, and then one can be certain that for an lishma he will come. Student pledges prior to the study to strengthen himself in faith in the Creator and in his guidance in reward and punishment, as our sages said your employer is liable to pay you the reward for your work. One should aim one's labor to be for the of the Torah, and in this way he will be rewarded with enjoying the light in it, and his faith will strengthen and grow through the power in this light. As it is written, it shall be health to your navel and marrow to your bones. Then one can be certain that from lishma he will come. Again, we're studying from volume 3, part 10 of the study of page 98 in the Hebrew version. Since we don't have English, and we're going to do our best. Item 71 from the later, it is VAV of the inclusive sag, and it is of, and then the two lower points from yad, which are in yad of the filling of in the manner of internality with the externality, as well they descend to make the discernment of two. These which are V of the incorporated S, similar to the which clothes the secret of the two. Said again, 71. Later it is the V of the inclusive S, which is of, and then the two lower points of UD, which are in the ud of the filling of in the manner of internality with her externality, as well they descend to be made into the manner of. For these B which are V of the inclusive sag, similar to the which clo in the manner of the item 71 inner light, clarifies the two lower points from the ud, which is in the ud with the filling of hay of biner in the manner of internality with their externality, etc. to V, to these V which are the VAV of the inclusive S, meaning because here he is talking about the three hays of this externality, adjacent to it, meaning the simple he and the two har with the filling of her. The simple he is the externality of the four upper ones, which become the P, the face to the four upper ones of the of sag, and the two he's which are included in the filling of yad are the externality discernments of the vac of the first har, which become internality of V with V of S. It's also known that the man of the lower one are included with the man of the upper one for the sake of the M of the lower one, since the lower one raises his man and the upper one awakens by himself the man from the measure of its smallness according to the man of the lower one, and the two matters of man are included in every coupling, both for the sake of the lower V and also for the sake of the G of the lower one, as was mentioned above. Therefore he calls them by the name the two points, because the matter of the screen and course that the coupling is made upon are always called by the name a point, as noted, and since the coupling was made by incorporation of the point of the lower one in the point of the upper one, both points are in each coupling. And here he says that the two lower points of the ud of filling hay in the manner of internality with externality descend to be made into of these V, which are the V of the inclusive sag, because the matter of the external mal of the mal which stands in the of sag, which is the first hay of S, is the lower in time of the of S, which is the externality to the matter of the lower hay in the n of the smallness of S, which stands in the she, is included from 2 points of the which rose there, and the point of the G of the first har of sag, which the impression of smallness remains standing therein, and they now are truly only the matter of externality of the V of biner, which becomes the pan in the face V, of which is the V, although the internality is also included in her, because also the internality, meaning the externality of the G, which becomes the face towards the G of the V of S, is included thereby, lowering it from the place of the N to the new, which will rise to the during ver, although, but it was made by a new coupling, and therefore is considered the posterior of V, since also the posterior of G, which are called internality in the manner of the V with relation to the V, is also included there, because also the coupling of Gadol is performed upon her, meaning that then she comes down from the place of They understand this well. Here he says, that in the manner of the internality, with externality meaning the of which are called the internality and the mo of which are called externality, and the externality of the two parts of the ut is the filling of the first he, descended in the internality of the 10 lower parts of that v, and the internality of the two parts of that ud, descend into the ality of the 3 upper parts of that v. That in Gatria are 13. We know that there are 13 internal and 13 external, although the inner 13 became external towards the two parts of the f of view of the first he of the last ones to their external, and internal again 70 to the externality of the two parts of u of the filling of the first he, descended into the internality of the 10 parts, 10 lower parts of that b. The internality of the two parts of the u descend into the internality of the 3 upper parts of that VRI, which is in Gatria 13, and we know that there are 13 internal and 13 external, and the 13 internal became the externality to the two parts from the filling of the u of the first har of the last ones to their external, and internal 70 to inner. Light elaborates on the externality of the two parts of the ut of the filling of the first har, which descended into the internality of u of the 10 parts of the lower ones of that v, in the internality of the two parts of that ud descend into the internality of the 3 upper parts of that v. The meaning is that those 2 points that descend from the ut of the filling of the external are incorporated from the of that g, which are called internality, because afterwards by the coupling which the lower he lowers from become the 3 parts of that b, although that is not lacking, so it's considered that the lower he in that also remain in that v, in the way that the externality of the 2 points chloe on the 10 of the smallness of v, meaning 10 lower parts of that b. The internality of the 2 points that is revealed by lowering the lower he from the, then the simple he of the externality is extended also, and then the internality, the g of the v, becomes a 3 upper parts of that v, when 13 internal and 13 external, 13 external became external to the 2 parts of the filling of ud, the first he, the last ones to the externality and internality in Gatria, which is counted as 13, will be clarified at its place, but they are the 10. We see here that in the t of that there are also the externality, as was explained above in the first he, because at the time it couples in order to bestow the to the lower he of the general, it does not give to her from his internality, but because of his externality also with the first h, although the externality of the v is not considered the externality to those 2 points in the ut of the filling of the first external he, because the 2 mentioned points became to building the v itself, which are the internality of that v, but not at all the externality, because his externality is not considered the building of himself, only what is restricted on his own in according to the man of the lower one, and his v does not have any relation with the externality of the v. That is the meaning of that, the which the upper one clothes the further lower one is not from building his own from the way he adapts himself for the measure of the g of the lower one that ascend and incorporate in his mind are called external. Or for that reason the clothing of him his own building has no relation to them, because they are always made of 2 phases of their screen. So a moment before we move to item 73, we want in every 10 one friend. In every 10 renew the intention. What do we want to take out of this lesson, out of this study? So now in the circles in the 10s, one friend renews for the 10 what it is that we want to take out of this study. Right now we want together to connect, and in this, when we're reading together about the spiritual degrees, about the higher state of our soul, that everything we do is reveal the qualities of love, this upper state of love that the Sists are writing about in the form of and all. This we will draw this force of love by the connection between us, drawing the light between us, because that is what's going to correct us and connect us more and raise us to the next degree that we're reading about together. 73 from the words of know that just like in Z there's the internal and surrounding, also the internality of this v of sag includes internal and surrounding because the externality of these two parts became internal within the 10 lower parts of this V in the manner of internality, but the internality of these two parts which also became internal within 3 upper parts of this V, it turns out that they two within 3 and their incorporation becomes 1, and this he becomes in the manner of surrounding this V again. Item 73. But know that just like in Z there is the inner and surrounding, there's also the internality of this vowel of sag which include the inclusive sag internal and surrounding, because externality of this two parts became internal within the 10 lower parts of this V in internality, but the internality of these two parts which also became internal within 3 upper parts of this V, turns out that they are 2 within 3 and their incorporation becomes 1 he, and this becomes surrounding upon this V. 74. Although the externality of that V, which are 13 parts, will be clarified later on what took place in them, because in that V there was internality and externality, which are the internality of Biner, and the internality itself became where externality to the internality of Biner again. 74. The externality of that V, which are 13 parts, will be clarified later on what took place in them, because here in this V there's ality and externality, which are the internality of Biner, and the internality itself became the externality to the internality of Biner. Item 75. Then the last he of the inclusive sag is mal of the inclusive sag. It too is like the example of the first he, which are the 3 he's, the he in the 3 first lines, in the 3 middle lines, and the he in the 3 lower lines. All these 3 he's are in the manner of internality. There's also another in externality, and there are 3 other he's that are divided in this manner as well. Again, item number 75. Then the last he of the inclusive sag is mal of the inclusive sag. It too is an example of the first a, which are the 3 he's, the in the 3 first lines, the he in the middle 3 lines, the he in the 3 lower lines. All these 3 are in internality. There are also others in externality, and they are the 3 other he's divided in the same manner. Okay, friends, we are coming close to the ending of the lesson, so we wanted to take this time and give an update for a very special event that the whole world CLE is going to go through in about 2 weeks. Unity Day for PIM. It's happening on the 23rd of March. Shab, it's a whole day just like the Congress.